Welcome to Mercy's Designs. My name is Mercy and I sell Stampin' Up! Products. Today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful sampler. Please excuse the glare, but I have this in a shadow box frame, and that's important because then you can pop things up and it makes it more dimensional. So I also want to gear this video towards maybe demonstrators who might be interested in doing a class with the sampler but feel a little overwhelmed. So I have this sheet that I'm going to have at my island, and how I do this is have people use the Stamparatus to stamp a bunch of things. So that's one tip. The other tip is once they are coloring and need to assemble, I make these boards and they can follow along. So when they're coloring, they can have this in front of them, and I have them labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and that way one person could be working on one side of the table and the other on the other side using a different one. They can I can have two sets of people essentially. So usually I like to have no more than 4 people at the class, so I do 2 classes, so that's possible. And then I have another one here. And this just breaks it, really helps break it down and makes it less overwhelming for the customer. So here is my 4th one. And then I have this thing, which is, this discusses how to finish the sampler itself. So the first thing we're going to do is, as my instructions say, we are going to start with the stamping part. So I want to bring in my Stamparatus. So we just, I need my case here. Okay, and here is my little, this is the in pool party. So what I want to do is I want to start up fully here. Use my magnet, get my Tuxedo black ink. Ink this up, make sure you go all the way to the end, but if you make a mistake, it's a Stamparatus, so you can adjust. So press firmly and you get it perfect. So now I'm moving down 1 hinge, plus I'm sliding this down a half a little block here. So then I stamp here. Now for this sampler, I don't have a ton of coloring, which is going to save time, but doing the stamping ahead I think works out really well, because at the table people can just focus on coloring and we're not trying to slop around the stamp inks and all that. So I think that works out much better for me anyhow. Okay, so I'm going to set this Stamparatus aside, and we're going to bring in this Stamparatus. Yes, I do have 2 Stamparatuses, and it's very useful because with the photopolymer, you have a cushion under here, and it just makes it a lot easier. So for this one, I'm just grabbing my little die cuts. I die cut ahead of time. Okay, so I am going to be doing these little, sweet little rosebuds. And they just fit right back in my template. And if I can get my fingers on this one, they're kind of little, but it still works really well, this technique. Generally though, I prefer bigger images. It just seems a little easier. Okay, and then our perfume bottle. So there we have that part. Now I do have the heart here, but because it's going to be in a different color, I generally suggest having, first of all, you should probably have it on 2 separate templates if you have 2 colors. But if you don't, just go ahead and do the ones that are the same color at the same time. I might change that up before my class, which is a little over a week away. Okay, so then push down. And sometimes they stick, so I just grab a corner and then just pull it straight down so it doesn't smudge. And then to pop them out, you can do something like this or use a pokey tool. But basically, that's all it takes to get that out. Okay, so because I'm going to, it probably wouldn't matter if I have marks in here, but I'm just gonna clean that up real quick. Okay, so now we're gonna pop our heart in, and that fit really well, but sometimes, depending on the way you punched it, it might fit better the opposite way. So that's why I have it. It's not fitting well flip heart, because it's not as obvious as a die cut run through the big shot. But I do like doing this because I've noticed is a lot of people get things crooked, and it just makes it a little faster, and you get a perfect alignment every time. Although that one isn't quite perfect. I must have shifted a little. Oh well, it's good enough. All right, so I'm done with this plate. So I'm gonna set that aside and bring in my final plate. It's hard to get enough space here. I'm gonna manage. I'm determined. It is hard to take on doing a video of something bigger like this. So I will be pausing a few times and speeding up if it feels like I'm struggling to get myself organized. Okay, so here is this template, and this is for my sentiments. Now, remember what I was talking about. Make sure you try to do separate template sheets for separate colors. So here's my real red one, and red, of course, is going to be messy, so you probably need additional die cuts because chances are some people are going to get their fingers in it. That's the nature of red. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, just tapping here, and then I'm just pulling it forward. And then, if it sticks, just push it down a little, and there you go. All right, so those look good. I'm trying not to touch the red because you know how red is. It takes a while to fully dry. Well, not a while, but a few seconds longer than a different color. Let's put it this way. Okay, so now we can start on the first square. So number one was this one. That's what we're going to work on first. And one of the things I decided to do is I got these baskets at Five Below. I'm sorry, it's hard to see it. And I got multiple colors so that at this point, when you have this pile, you can put it inside there and take it to the table so it's ready to go. So I'm hoping that idea helps because that's kind of been a bit of an issue in the past. I've done several of these classes doing samplers. So I'm just going to get some of my stuff out. Here's my envelope. And I am going to be using the Delicata. I know that is no longer available, but many of us still have it, and quite frankly, it was really too nice to pass on using for this particular design. All right, so I have my beautiful embossed paper here. And what you want to do here, this is optional, I have it listed as optional, is sponge on some ink if you want. Now, if you don't, you can have it plain like this, which is beautiful, and that's what I have on my first one I did, because I thought of this after, that it would really enhance this embossing and add a bit of a shabby chic look now it looks really dark at first, but it definitely lightens up in time, so don't be afraid of that. So here we go. And Balmy Blue, it goes on, Pool Party, not Balmy Blue. I knew I was making some kind of mistake there. It goes on like a lot of green in it, but when it dries, it's definitely more true to color, which I suppose is true of a lot of it, but it's pretty obvious with Pool Party. But I do love Pool Party. Yeah, and if you're curious about my colors and details on sizes and so on, I will try to put some of that information in the description. So definitely take a look at that. Okay, so now we're ready to start building. I do have this, which I will wait a second to attach because I'm going to put on our shelf first. And when I say shelf, I use the, you know how you have that strap for the Dressed to Impress for the handles? I use that and I cut it down. I had to move it and then rerun it through to get a good embossing at the end. But that's what I did there. Which I'm not going to show some of these things, especially not the, the embossing work. Now I have way too much glue on here and this is going to be a big mess. So I'm just going to scrape some off. I do not want a big mess. Who does, but especially not on my video. So I'm just going to put this in the center and hopefully make it straight. And center is good, and if you're doing a class, it's best to try to keep things as simple as possible, which I don't know if this qualifies as simple, but I am trying. And so I'm using art glitter glue, but usually I use Tombow. The only reason why I brought this out is some of the dies, the die cuts are pretty fine and it doesn't show. It dries clear, I mean. Okay, so that's not straight, but the good news is with the liquid glue, you can definitely wiggle it in place. Isn't that cute? So that's the start. And I don't care if some parts are a little darker. I'm kind of going for a little bit of a shabby chic look again. So with that in mind, okay, I'm gonna bring in my paper now and we're gonna start coloring. So I had those die cuts already. So here is my perfume and my little roses, and they are so cute. Love them. So what I used for the roses is Real Red, and for the perfume I used a combination of things. So I will start though with the Real Red, and I'm going to speed this up. I did want to mention, actually I should say that it's Purple Posy, and I think I used the light. And for the leaves, it's going to be the Mint Macaron. And then I'm also bringing in some Petal Pink. So sit back and I will start coloring. So I'm ready to start assembling here. I have some of my perfume bottles. So I am going to, that I cut out from DSP. So I'm just going to get those out real quick in this bag. And I spent some time doing that. I usually don't expect my customers to fussy cut something like that out. For one thing, they kind of sometimes don't know what they're doing and end up cutting through other parts I don't want them to. So I just go ahead and take the time to do that. It's some work, but I don't mind. It's a nice little fun task if you're like sitting back and relaxing. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my dimensionals here, and we're going to pop up all these things basically. So the first thing I want to go ahead and attach this. I do recommend that, and then build around it too. You want your shelf and the little sentiment here. So I'm just going to put that down here, left-hand corner. Now I'm going to start building my rose collection, and I kind of figured out a way that it looked good to have them together, so I'm going to definitely just continue that. Okay, so don't overdo it on the dimensionals, because you essentially want it to fit in. Oh, I forgot to add the gold to the center here, so I need to still do that. That was very critical. Can't believe I forgot that. Oh well, there's still time. That's the beauty of this. There's still time. And I also realized I didn't finish coloring the mint macaron here. So 2 little boo-boos, but not too bad. I do enjoy coloring with the blends. I rarely use my Stamparatus markers for this sort of coloring anyhow. For other techniques, they're handy, but when it comes to this. So what I did is have these leaves kind of up in the air, and I kind of overlap them. And that, to me, looks more aesthetically pleasing. So just real quick, gonna quickly add a little. This is probably better to do it now in place anyway, because I'm not touching it. It takes a minute for this to dry anyway, so. We could stop here, but I like using these little gems. And I think I forgot to bring my take a pick tool, but they work great for this. So what I'm going to do is kind of randomly add dots of glue here and there. And I'm sticking with areas that are kind of flat, because it's going to actually be hard to stick a gem on a raised part of the embossing. So I do recommend that part. I mean, when I say random, I mean random, but also where it makes the most sense. So well, this isn't too bad. Okay. The real little ones might be trickier. I'm trying to get a little red one here. Those are so cute. And this is dark glitter glue, so it will dry clear. That was the main reason I am using this time. But I use it now here and there in general. Oh, okay. And I feel like I got a little too much here, so I'm just kind of trying to dab up a little of the glue. Where can I put that where it won't create a mess? Okay, so another little gem. These are really, really pretty. They're really sweet, so don't miss on them. They don't have the adhesive backing, but it's really not that hard to add. So that is our adorable little feature, and I kind of call them card fronts, but I don't know what the best term would be. Okay, so now we're going to go on to block number 2. So I'll just bring that in briefly so you can see that. Okay, so here's block number 2, and I will set this in one of my little baskets. I'm just going to try to prop it up so that I have it handy when I need it. Okay, so for block number 2, I'm going to bring in my supplies. We have ribbon, we have the punch. I'm not using the punch because I showed you how I just used it in my template, but I wanted to show that this is the heart scalp punch, and it's part of a duo. All right, so I'm going to get out what I need, the items. It's so much fun though doing this. So making these, it's very rewarding. If you haven't tried making a sampler, they're great. I tried to sort of have mine reflect the seasons. So I hold classes 4 times a year. So if anyone lives in the Northeast Ohio area and is watching this and you're interested, please email me. My next class again is going to be coming up soon. Okay, so I want to stamp along here. So back with my scrap. These are the nested label dies, which are lovely. Okay, so the stamp that I need, where did I put that? Oh, it's right here in front of me. Isn't that crazy when you have something exactly in front of you and you're like looking for it? How silly is that, right? Okay, so sorry about my head, but we need to have it. And now that's kind of tilting downward, which I'm not too happy about, but it's hard to do this on camera. Okay, so here we go. It's not too bad, not too great, but it's shabby chic, so, you know, it goes, right? All right, so the next part is I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this. We are going to pop up the heart, but not the sentiment. So I'm kind of just lining them all up like this so they look stacked. I think that looks kind of cool. And then we're going to go ahead add this one. This little block or card front, whatever you want to call it, goes super fast. It's a very easy one. It's just a little stamping. You got the heart. If you already have that ready to go, you're probably going to be done in a jiffy. Okay, so here's the ribbon, and this is the Crinkle Whisper White 1/4 inch crinkle seam binding ribbon. That's a mouthful. So I've already made bows because it just takes time and it's hard to do that on camera. So I have some of my glue dots here. Ugh, I can do things and talk. Okay, so this one's not there. I think I got it now. Didn't want to grab. And then I just put it in that middle heart, and I think that just makes a nice little feature like that. So I'm going to pause the video, and when I return, we're going to do the main feature, which is the Eiffel Tower. Okay, we're back now. The final, well, this is the third one I'm going to do is this Eiffel Tower, and I have a lot of glitter here, so it's very sparkly. So I'm going to give a couple tips on that and how I did this. I think it's really pretty. I used the ice stamping glitter. This has since been retired as of a month ago, but most of us, if we have it, we can use it, but you can do other alternatives. All right, so here is our pool party base. And the first thing I want to do is go ahead and add my Eiffel Tower. I'm going to work around the Eiffel Tower with the glitter, but I will use mass for the sentiment and the fleur, that symbol of France, Paris, whatever. So this is really coming out fast. Okay, so I have adhesive sheet on here, but sometimes that doesn't do a super good job holding it down. So I'm just adding a little art glitter glue, and today it's coming out very fast. Some days not as fast. Just my luck today, though. It's moving like crazy. All right, so I'm just going to have one of my handy dandy little pieces here. So I'll just wipe off some so we don't have a big mess. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of that real quick, my scrap. So here we have the Eiffel Tower, and I'm gonna position it more towards the right side. I'm gonna leave about 1/4 inch or so. So I'm looking at this base as my point of reference on how I want to position it. I feel like I got it a little bit crooked, but not too bad. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So as I was saying, I like using some masks where I'm going to put my sentiment. So this is just some temporary adhesive. I'm just adding, I'm looking where I want everything. So I want it about here, and then that little beautiful symbol, we're going to have it more to the side here. So that is because I want to pop it up, and the glitter, putting something on the glitter doesn't work too well, but I do end up doing that a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in, I like starting with the chunky. This is Shimmery Crystal Effects, and I'm going to just kind of randomly add this, as random as possible. I don't do random too well, so that's always a challenge. But when I'm trying to go through more of a shabby chic look, then you need to try to get the random thing going. Okay, so this looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna stop here soon. I want it up and close to that symbol. Okay, so that's good enough for that. Now I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, because we all know how glitter goes, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on. So it coats it. Obviously not all of this will stick, and you can put it back. So the result is it's pretty chunky like that, and that's cool, but I like adding a second layer of glitter using the finer glitter. So here we go. We're going to bring it back in, and I have the Dazzling Diamonds. Stampin' Up! Has had Dazzling Diamonds for many years, and some of you might recognize my two-way glue pen. I still have mine. It's getting a little worse for the wear, and you can see the end is pretty bad. But I'm going to go ahead and fill in where I feel like the Dazzling Diamonds, the chunky glitter is missing, and we're going to have Dazzling Diamonds. And the result is pretty spectacular, I think, because it just enhances the chunkiness, and I think it looks lovely. So everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not sure how my customers will like this or not. They could love it, or some of them might not. I could have the option of adding like the champagne rhinestones instead of doing glitter, if some people feel like it's more work and hassle. But a lot of my customers are excited to try something new, so hopefully it will go over well. Ooh, I didn't get up here. Yeah, I might need to retire this soon. If Stampin' Up! Retired it, maybe I should. I don't know. Okay. All right, so it dries fairly quick, so we need to move on this Dazzling Diamonds business. Now, if you haven't worked with the Dazzling Diamonds, it's a bit messy. Let's just start there by saying that. But when you see it in person especially, it's really amazing. Oh, and this was my new one. I was on my original for a number of years. But you know it's a good product when you buy it again, right? At least that's what I think. But you do not want to drop this, let me tell you. Big mess if you do, or so I've heard. Okay, so I'm just going to put this back in this container the best I can, and I'll worry about that later. So now we have this very glittery result, and I'm just going to remove this, and I see that some of my Dazzling Diamonds slipped under, so I'm just going to knock that off. So those masks kind of keep us from having diamonds and all kinds of stuff under it. So now I can get started on the next part. So we have this, I have gone ahead and embossed this ahead of time. I did not want to do embossing here. So I have a vellum sheet here, and I'm just going to estimate that this is in the center, in my sentiment. You do not want glue with vellum. If you do need to, where it's going to show, use glue dots. So that's pretty good. And as you can see, it lays flat. Now the first one I did, I wasn't smart and I didn't do that, and it was curling and a big mess because of the glitter underneath. So don't do that. Do this second method. All right, so here we go. And then that looks really pretty, I think. It's not super noticeable, the vellum, but you can definitely skip that if you don't want to, but I liked it. Vellum is always a softening effect, I feel like. And this is a pretty feminine looking project. My fall sampler, which I do have on YouTube, was definitely not as feminine. Okay, so we're coming along. Now, the one final thing is this Flourish, which is a bit of a pain. It was terrible to die cut. And I do have adhesive backing, but because of all the glitter and this how fine it is, the adhesive backing, I may as well not have done that. So just an FYI. So what I'm going to do is, to more solid areas, add my glue dots. And I'm going to have to fold over onto itself. I probably should have done this off camera, but you can watch me struggle, because believe me, the struggle is definitely real here. Okay, so 3 places is about right, I found, to secure it. And so far it hasn't fallen off. And I did that one, my sample page, probably a week ago, and then I did my original one much even further, like over a month ago. So let's try to get this. What I liked is a look where it looks coming out of the Eiffel Tower. So, oh yeah, isn't that pretty? And this is with the champagne foil. So I don't mind, as long as it stays on. If it's a little bit loose, it's going to be in a frame. I don't have to worry about it catching with mailing or something like that. Okay, so here's my base, and this part is a little awkward. You can see it's still shedding some glitter. This would be better to let dry, but I'm doing a video, so, you know, exceptions must be made, right? Okay, so I'm just going to mat this real quick. And then we have one more little box. So we're going to set this one aside to dry a little. And the final one is another simple, easy one, because we've already done most of it. And it's this little love letter. So very cute. Okay, so here is my pieces. We're going to need more, and finally the little thing here. So that's all I need there. Well, I'm just going to set this over that way. It's kind of tricky to maneuver here trying to do a video so you guys can see it, and at the same time I can actually get to my things, which is not the end of the world, but difficulty, but definitely a challenge. Okay, so again, I'm going to remove this adhesive back, and this adhesive back is worth putting on for this one, but because this is going to be more upright and not in a letter, I will dab on a few spots of my glue here, just to make sure that it doesn't come loose when hanging on the wall. That would be very annoying. It's not a super strong adhesive, the adhesive sheets, so it's better to err on the side of caution. And of course, no one's actually reading this little love letter, so having a little bit of having it covered is not a problem. But I do like that more across it. So this is a Valentine's / winter sampler. I like Valentine's, but I didn't want it like screaming Valentine's, if that makes sense. You could definitely make it more Valentine's-y than I did, for sure. But I like this. It's my style, so if you agree, let me know. If you don't, keep it to yourself, right? Okay, so here we have our more. And now we're going to talk about the finish. So here is my little thing, what I write about the finish. So you can either use Purple Posy or Mint Macaron, and you use 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So what I do is create these triangles. And this little mini trimmer is the bomb for this. It's so easy to line it up. You can see it's a guillotine, so you're not worried about mashing the corners like when you're running a blade. So it's just that, it's perfect. Okay, so here is our Whisper White. And what I do here is just simply, I'm adding these here. And if for some reason my cuts were bad, or I line this up wrong, I adjust. So I look at this right now and see what was my, which ones are not going to line up too well. So I'm just going to move that up a little. And if it seems a little crooked, I'm going to tuck it a little bit under the thing. So what I'll do is lift this up, and I made sure I didn't glue. When I put this on a diamond, on a white, I made sure that I didn't glue all the way to the end, so I can tuck it under. And I'm not going to do the gluing because I think all of you understand how to glue, so. But I did want to explain about how you can adjust it a little bit. So this is like a faux mat, if you will. And at this point, if you wanted to just lift it and put a little glue under, you could do it that way. But you can see where it might need to be adjusted and then do that. So that is how that one works. And of course, I have one already done, so I'll bring that in. Okay, so here it is. I don't know what that is on here. And we're gonna now go ahead and start assembling. So the first thing I wanna do is do a dry layout, of course. So we're gonna bring this over here. We're gonna bring this feature up here. From the heart. Oh, so, ooh, I almost forgot. You could do it like this, but I thought something was missing. Oh man, this is a Whisper White, and this is 8 1/2 by 8 1/2. And what I'm gonna do is lay it down here. So sorry about that. Maybe I should edit that out, right? I probably won't, but you know. The point is you wanna add this Whisper White one. So it will even mask any more imperfections if you didn't have that perfectly straight. And I'm trying to create this, make this straight, but it wants to set. So, okay, back again. False start, right? Okay, so this slides down, this is here, and this is here. Now I got this design layout as far as doing this diamond from a demonstrator that I love watching her Facebook Lives. So her name is Susan, and she has Nola Creations, I think. So just know that this is not original, but I've kind of made it my own by doing that faux matte, and of course she did not use these sets when she did hers. And I'm sure she wouldn't mind. I think that's what people that make these videos want other people to try it. At least that's what I want. I want you to try out my idea here and try a sampler. It's a scrapbook page, but without pictures. So, you know, if you did scrapbooking, which a lot of us started out doing scrapbooking and then switched to card making, then this will definitely be right up your alley. Okay, so I'm just trying to center it pretty well. I'm looking at these, and this could be a little bit closer. Okay. And the glitter stuff is still drying, and it'll always be messy. So if you don't like messy, try doing the champagne glitter and rhinestones as an alternative. But I am liking the glitter. So my understanding, I went to Onstage, the Lansing one, and she was saying that at night they light up the Eiffel Tower and it looks glittery. So that's what gave me this idea. Oh, I need to have it glittery. So I hope you like that idea. Okay, so we could stop there and that would be awesome, but I like adding more sparkle. So I took from So Many Stars, the die cuts, and these have carried over the die cuts. The stamp has not, the stamp set did not carry over. However, they have a new one for summer. It's like with Morning Glories, which is super cool. So we're gonna need 2 of everything, pretty much. Well, not 2 of everything, 2 of these. And my stars. So we have a star. So this is the only stamp that actually is currently no longer available, but I actually designed this before I knew what was going to happen as far as like what was retiring from the holiday catalog. That's my only like excuse, if you will. Okay, so then I have these little containers of more stars over here. And yes, I did hours of die cutting to make enough to do 13 of these. So it's a lot of work when you do a lot of die cuts. So these are the champagne ones. I think that would look cool. Although my colors kind of looks a little weird against the gold. So I don't know, but they're pretty. All right, so we're gonna get going here. Now, these pop out and they are just adorable. We're definitely going to be using those. So I'm going to be very careful taking this backing off because we want to preserve all those beautiful stars. So here it is. And what I'm going to do is put it on this upper corner. And, well, let me look at my original real quick, because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So here's my original. So I did pull it down in. That's what I was wondering if I did that. And I think I did it the other direction, yes. So it's always good to follow what you did originally if it worked. And it's not on camera, at least for me. Doing something like this on camera and trying to figure out a new way might not be such a smart idea. So we're going to go with tried and true. I'm just adding a little bit of glue here and there because this is an uneven, we are adding it on an uneven surface. Those are not going to hold nearly as well as they would if they were not on an uneven surface. If this was completely flat, it wouldn't be a problem. That's what I'm trying to say. In plain English, okay. All right, so now we're going to take adhesive backing off and I'm going to start adding these. So aren't they cute? I'm not pushing down yet because I want to make sure I'm happy with the layout. I'm kind of doing a bit of a dry layout. Okay, this adhesive back was not off. Whoa. I might have to use a little bit of that, or glitter glue. Okay, I think that's just scrap now. I have more stars over here. And, okay, there are a few that are maybe lurking, but if not, we'll just, no, that it has adhesive backing still. Okay, so this is kind of the fun part in my opinion, just adding a little bling here and there. But again, you could stop before doing this. Ooh, this one must still have the backing. If it doesn't stick, chances are, yeah, I thought I had that. Oh, some of these times it's hard to get this started. But just when I think, oh, they're more trouble than they're worth, the adhesive backing, I do a project without it, and then I'm like, oh, I missed that adhesive backing, so I'm back at it with adhesive backing. Okay, so there we have it, and you can see really why it's important to use some glue though here. All right, so the next one is this star, and I like offsetting it, so it adds more bling. And I did go ahead and stamp this before this video, but I don't know. It's a pretty easy one, especially if you're using a template. Okay, so technically that has adhesive there, but it's not going to be a problem at all. Again, the adhesive sheets are not super strong. So I'm just centering this here. Isn't that cool? I think it's really pretty. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Says the woman who perfectionlessly tackles things. Okay, so that's me, by the way. All right. Oh, and this is actually the closure. When I first saw it, I didn't even realize it's a closure. I just assumed it's for sentiments for the Dressed for Success stamp with the stamps for the purse or the bag. I do have a tutorial on how to make the little backpack or tote bag, so check that out. Okay, so Life is Magnificent. This is for the Parisian stamp set, and I will have all the stamp sets that I used and more in the description about what went into this project, but I hope you enjoyed it. It's definitely a labor of love to make these, but it's so rewarding. So the last thing is some stars down here because I wanted it kind of balanced. Maybe it didn't need it, but you could certainly, at any of these points, change your design. You don't have to follow mine exactly. And you might think of something better than what I did. Okay, so one of each. And remove the backings. And no, it did not come out, so we're gonna have to pull these, push these out. I was hoping it would come off. Sometimes it comes right off with that adhesive sheet, but it's not going too bad. Oh, so when you have this obviously is bad because it can catch. So the one I'm going to put this one right here, and these are not like lined up straight. I'm gonna slide this here to make sure you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and then this one we're gonna put a little bit more straight. This is uneven too, so I might come in and add a glue dot or something because I'm seeing it's kind of moving around a bit. Okay, so there we go. That completes my sampler with the Paris theme. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, just when I think I'm complete. Okay. I keep realizing I didn't put everything on. Okay. Stay. Stay. Okay, now this is, oh, actually, this already has the adhesive backing off. Okay. Need to blow away that glitter because that will not adhere then. All right, so there we go. I think I finally got it all complete. I love this. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up if you did and consider subscribing. If you have any questions, comment below or email me at mewants3@gmail.com. I would be happy to help you place an order with the host code as well. Take care. Bye.